This is the YUKA 1500 Robot Lawn Mower from Motion, and I want to use this video to share my honest experience after spending a few weeks with it. When I first unboxed it, the design caught my eye right away. It has this futuristic, almost race car look, sleek lines, a crisp white color, and rugged wheels that make it feel solid and ready to handle whatever my yard throws at it. At about 34 pounds, it's not too heavy, and the plastic casing feels durable but light enough to move around if you ever need to shift it by hand. From my experience, it definitely stands out compared to the old basic robotic mowers. Setting up the YUKA 1500 was pretty straightforward, but not perfect. The robot uses this thing called a 3D vision positioning system, along with something named RTK, which I learned stands for real-time kinematic positioning. Basically, these give it an accurate sense of where it's going. Think of it as the GPS for your lawn, but way more precise. I was a little bit nervous at first because I'd read online that some people had issues with the signal dropping or the mower losing connection, especially with the RTK antenna. In my yard, which has a mix of sun, shade, some hills, and a lot of obstacles, I had to experiment a bit to find a good spot for the antenna. It took a couple of tries to get it right, so just a heads up, you may need some patience during the setup. Once I got it going though, it started mapping my whole yard just by driving itself around. What I really appreciate is that you don't need a perimeter wire with this mower. That was a huge selling point for me. I was really not in the mood to dig up my lawn just to bury wires everywhere. Instead, the YUKA 1500 uses the mapping system to recognize and remember where it's supposed to go. Through the Motion app, which is where most of the controls happen, you can set up as many as 10 different mowing zones. For me, this meant I could divide the front, back, sides, and even a little space behind the fence into separate zones and schedule them however I want. You can tell it to avoid things like flower beds or the kids' playground by drawing up no-go zones in the app, which is super helpful if your lawn has special areas you want left alone. There are a few things to get used to with the app though. It has a lot of customization options, cutting angles, specific mowing times, real-time monitoring, and so on. But honestly, the app feels a bit buggy at times and not as smooth as I'd like. Sometimes a setting doesn't save the first time, or the connection can drop if my Wi-Fi flickers. It gets the job done after a few tries, but I'd say don't expect absolute perfection. I would love if they made the app a little more user-friendly, especially for people who aren't super techy. On mowing quality, from my experience, the cutting height is easy enough to set, but you do need to adjust it manually. There's a knob on the mower that lets you set how high or low you want the cut, anywhere from about 1.2 to 4 inches. Once I picked my height, the mower stuck to it pretty well. I have Bermuda grass with some crabgrass patches. Honestly, the weed problem was always bigger than the mowing problem. But not having to worry about mowing gave me time to focus on fixing those weeds, which was a pleasant surprise. The mower works in patterns, which you can customize using the app. Right now, I have mine doing a checkerboard pattern. What's really cool is that the stripes look surprisingly professional, and after just a few runs, my lawn looks smoother than it ever did with my old push mower. The mower's dual floating cutting discs give a clean cut on average, but it can sometimes miss a few blades here or there, especially in thicker or fast-growing patches. Still, the coverage is way better than I expected for a home robot mower. Obstacle avoidance was actually better than I expected. It uses AI-powered cameras to recognize objects and avoid running into things. At one point, mine tried to get a little too close to my creek, so I set up a few bricks to show it where to stop. It's smart, but you definitely need to learn together. The first time or two, there may be places where it gets stuck or turns itself around at odd angles, especially when your yard is wet or a little muddy. I had a spot with an exposed wire where it kept stopping. I ended up just drawing a no-go zone there in the app. After 5 full mowings, it's barely gotten stuck at all. I'd recommend this mower for anyone with a tricky yard and a few obstacles. Another feature that I didn't expect but found useful was the integrated sweeper. If you opt for the sweeper attachment, the mower can pick up leaves and little sticks as it moves, then automatically empties them at a spot you choose. For me, this practically eliminated raking days in the fall or after windy weather. Battery life for the mower is solid. Each time it charges, it can tackle about 500 square meters of grass, which covers my main yard. When the battery gets low, it heads back to recharge automatically. The noise level is also a big plus. It's noticeably quieter than a regular mower. I didn't feel like I was bothering my neighbors, even if I let it run at dawn or on a lazy Sunday afternoon. I did have some doubts at the start, especially when I read about the connection issues or the need for careful mapping. It's true, there is a learning curve. You may spend a few hours up front figuring out the best antenna position, mapping your zones, and adjusting the height. There's also a bit of trial and error in telling the robot where to go and where to avoid. But after the initial setup, it really does become hands-off. I can check progress from the app anywhere, and usually, I just watch it do its thing. If you have steep slopes, the mower can handle up to 45%, which is a lot more than most robots I looked at. The self-emptying feature for the sweeper just adds another level of convenience, reducing one more chore from my weekend list. I'd recommend the YUKA 1500 for people who want something low maintenance and who like having their yards looking tidy with almost zero weekly effort. It's perfect for anyone who wants to stop wasting time mowing and concentrate on other improvements or just enjoy their lawn. The only real downsides are the slightly clunky app and the need to get the antenna and mapping right at the beginning. Also, if you have really complex shaded areas, the RTK positioning can struggle a little, so keep that in mind when planning your mowing schedule. Manual blade height is not a big deal for me, but if you're hoping to do everything from your phone, that's not possible just yet. In conclusion, the YUKA 1500 Robot Lawn Mower changed how I take care of my lawn. It's efficient, easy to integrate into daily life, and actually kind of fun to use once you get it dialed in. If you don't mind some initial setup and small adjustments as you learn what your yard needs, it'll quickly become something you rely on every week. Please check the comments section for detailed information about the YUKA 1500 Robot Lawn Mower. Thank you for watching.